Welcome to the show. Let's talk to Matt Brown. Morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
Right, let's kick off with headlines. This morning, equity markets flat as political headlines dominate.
Yeah, lots going on. I mean, the market really isn't reacting to what's going on politically. Look, Japan have Shinzo Abe, or Abe, however you want to pronounce it, two-thirds majority, fantastic, showing Theresa May how an election should be done and won. So, look, that's positive for Japan. You wouldn't even know there was an election looking at dollar yen this morning. The yen, look, slight improvement, but what does it mean? Well, a bit of stability in Japan. Abe is talking about looking at North Korea and being tough on them. So he's got a strong mandate. I think quantitative easing will continue in Japan. So look out for that. But yeah, so nothing really going on in Asia markets. We're looking at Spain and Catalonia. We're looking at Madrid basically taking the power back from the Catalonian region. That doesn't seem to have worked out very well for them. So, yeah, not good news. What does that mean for the rest of Europe? Well, Europe's just not really reacting to anything that's going on. So it goes to prove the markets are a little bit complacent, maybe. Seeing a bid come in, passive funds are still buying, markets still pushing higher, albeit a little bit flat today. And yeah, business as usual, Monday morning.
Let's move on to FTSE 100, GKN. Dreadful looking logo, dare I say it?
Yeah, they've obviously paid an agency a lot of money for that, and it's not very clear. But GKN, look, performing well this morning, up about 3 or 4%. A couple of things. Liberum have upgraded the stock, the broker, so pushing the stock. And there's also talk of they're looking to split their automotive business from their aerospace business. 2 listed companies potentially on the markets. That's positive. A lot of funds probably looking at that, saying, look, let's get in to GKN before the split happens. But that's seen as a positive. I mean, the aerospace industry is probably primed to be taken over. Not so sure about the automotive industry. That seems to be struggling a little bit at the moment.
Okay, so let's talk small cap. AIM one to watch, Caspian Sunrise. Never heard of them.
Formerly known as Roxy Petroleum, so quite an active one for retail investors. Look, they've got a BNG drilling platform or well in Kazakhstan, seems to be performing well. Flow rates look good, so it's good for the company. They're also talking about their licensing, changing the licensing in July to be a production license. At the moment, they're currently an exploration license, which means they can only sell the oil they get out of the ground locally at a rate of between, I think, about $16 to $19 per barrel. If they get the production license in July, that means they can sell globally at $58 a barrel. Who knew? So it's good for them, good margins, a positive statement, and the stock's trading up quite heavily this morning.
Understood. Let's move on to currencies. The Great British Pound against the US dollar, 131.67, and the euro, Great British Pound, 89.18 cross.
Yeah, fairly flat. I mean, there's still obviously Brexit negotiations continuing. We've got a lot of large businesses and business organisations now lobbying the government to say, look, we need a transitional deal. I mean, the issue is for a lot of big businesses now, they may reduce spending or cut back spending because they don't know what's going to happen over the next few years. So if we can get a deal at least agreed, a transitional deal, at least large companies can know what they're doing with regards to exports, they know what they're doing with regards to hiring, and that seems to be the issue at the moment. But the government are just, most of the government didn't vote for Brexit or didn't want a Brexit vote, so they're dragging their heels. Europe is playing hardball. We need a deal, and we need a transitional deal sooner rather than later. It's bad for business.
You sound like a politician, young man. Right, let's talk about broker upgrades, downgrades. The UK banks as a group, Credit Suisse, a new recommendation of outperform, which should suggest interest rates are going one way.
Exactly, talking their book. Credit Suisse basically saying the UK domestic banks have underperformed. They should be performing better. Certainly in a higher interest rate environment, they will perform better. We all know that. That's what banks do. But they're banging the drum on UK banks, the likes of Lloyds, Barclays, etc., RBS even. They're saying, look, they're undervalued here. Get some
Chuck them on the back book. Okay, let's move on to the core number 75. What's that?
Yeah, well, look, in the last quarter, and this is up until the end of September, 75 major listed UK companies had profits warning. That is up 66% on the previous quarter. This is according to Ernst and Young. And, well, look, the companies that have been posting profit warnings are support services, leisure, tourism, all these industries that have been impacted by rising cost, price competition. So, look, the FTSE is performing well, albeit not as well as some of the other global markets. But there are companies now that are starting to suffer. We're a year after the Brexit vote. Some of it may be down to that. We may see more profit warnings. We've seen a profit warning come out this morning from Pendragon. Now, they are the automobile sales company. That is negative. We're always talking about cars, and again, GKN, that the automobile sector is struggling. There's a debt bubble there forming potentially. When you look at diesel cars, etc., electric cars, then there's a problem. But a lot of companies will be punished if they have a profit warning. We've seen that 20-30% could be written off your value if you do not perform.
Understood. Okay, let's wrap up the economic calendar. In the US today, 1:30 Chicago Fed National Activity Index.
That's it. Very quiet on the macro data front, but there's a few key points to look out this morning. We've got PMIs coming out from Europe tomorrow. We've got an interest rate decision from the ECB and statement on Thursday, and GDP out of the US on Friday. But overall, actually, it's not a big data week. By those points. So maybe focus will now be on the political side, but the markets, I think, this week will probably grind higher, as they always have done over recent months, but nothing really to push it strongly to the upside.
Matt, well done. Thank you.